Good morning, buongiorno, buenos dias, bon dia, bonjour, suprodesenak, kalimera, namaste. So today is the day 23rd of QuarARTine and this is the second episode of QuarARTine. The video of today is about a painting that you chose on Instagram. I created a poll on Instagram and I asked you to choose between two very famous paintings made by two very famous artists. One was the Annunciation by Leonardo da Vinci and the other one was Don Dodoni by Michelangelo. You choose the first one, so the topic of today will be the Annunciation, now conserved inside the Uffizi gallery. When I explain Leonardo, people are completely overwhelmed by information and by beauty, and it's really one of the most beautiful sides of my work. And this one is probably one of those masterpieces that you should see once in life. By the way, the main things I explain about Leonardo when we enter in the room is that we can't read this artist only under an artistic point of view. I mean, the work of Leonardo, the paintings of Leonardo are essays of science. Everything he was interested in is reflected in his technique, and his studies are all reflected in the paintings. The first thing I want to clarify with you is how to pronounce his name. Usually people are calling him Leonardo da Vinci. Well, the pronunciation is Leonardo da Vinci. If you want to know why, there's another fantastic video made about how to read Italian. It's called Challenge, and you can check why the real name is Leonardo da Vinci. About the surname, Da Vinci is not a proper surname, it's the way we call him, because Da Vinci means from Vinci. Vinci is a beautiful little village close to Florence and is the place where he was born. So as soon as the father noticed that he was really talented and skilled, he sent him in Florence to learn from Andrea del Verrocchio, that was his first teacher. So now that you know how to pronounce correctly his name, Leonardo da Vinci, you're ready to discover more about this fantastic painting. Leonardo da Vinci might have finished the Annunciation in his early 20s. He was really young when he made his masterpiece. The scene represented is the Annunciation, which means it's the moment when the angel Gabriel went to Mary and announced to the Virgin that she would conceive and give birth to a son, to be named Jesus and to be called the Son of God, whose reign would never end. This subject was very popular for artworks and being depicted many times in the art of Florence, including several examples by early Renaissance painters, for example Fra Beato Angelico and many others. The scene happens in a beautiful flourishing garden in front of a Renaissance palace. This garden evokes the Hortus Conclusus, which is the allusion to the purity of Mary. As soon as we compare this Annunciation with the Annunciations we were used to see up to now, we notice that there's a big difference between this Hortus Conclusus, this garden, and the other gardens we were used to see. In Middle Age, the background is a golden background, a golden space, abstract and holy, in which the scene is happening. In the other early Renaissance paintings, we can find an enclosed garden where the characters are only the angel Gabriel and Virgin Mary. Also in this case we have an enclosed garden with only two characters, but if you check in the background you can see that the garden is not so enclosed because there's an opening to the outside. This is probably conveying us the message that the Annunciation and the Revelation is not happening only in the private space of Mary, but it's something that is concerning with humanity. The angel has just arrived in front of Mary and he has just stopped. He is kneeling in front of her and is offering to the Virgin 3 lilies. 3 as the 3 kind of virginities of Mary, before, meanwhile, and after giving birth to Jesus. The lily flower is also the symbol of the city of Florence. I made a video about this topic. If you want to check, this is called Why the Lily Flower is the Symbol of Florence. On YouTube you can find it. The angel Gabriel wears 3 colors: red, white and green. Those are the colors of the 3 theologal virtues: green as hope, white as faith and red as charity. By the way, I'm very glad to introduce you the first angel in history of art represented with real bird wings. In fact, up to that moment, the wings of the angels were wings of fantasy, abstract, colored with the colors of the rainbows, pink, green, blue. But Leonardo is trying to figure out a way to make men fly, so if this angel can fly, he's supposed to fly with this proper pair of wings, perfectly attached to the back, perfectly proportioned with the size of Gabriel. It is supposed that Leonardo copied the wings from those of an eagle in flight. Mary is represented wearing the 2 typical colors of the Virgin, red color representing the terrestrial world and blue color representing the celestial world. This time she is wearing also yellow textile, which represent the change and is telling to us that something is changing in the life of Mary. When Gabriel arrived, Mary was reading, so with a hand she is holding the pages which Gabriel moved with his arrival. She is represented with this beautiful blonde hair, symbol of beauty and purity during Renaissance, and with this high, bold forehead. Also, this fact was considered very fashionable during Renaissance, so fashionable that girls were removing completely the hair until half part of the head and removing completely their eyebrows. The shaving techniques at that time were not so advanced, so these poor girls sometimes were even burning the head using the candle's wax to make hair growing again, or using toxic materials like lead to enlight the hair. I know, creepy, but fashion is fashion and we can't complain. We can only hope this trend will not come back again. If we stand in front of the painting and we watch it, some anomalies can be found in the figure of the Virgin, whose arms, the right arm, the one touching the book, appears a little bit too long. Someone thinks that maybe this is an error due to the fact that Leonardo was really young when he made his painting, but perhaps it's a reflection of Leonardo's early research into optics. Because the correct point of view is not in front of the paintings, but it's from the right, 2 meters more or less from the right, and a little bit lowered, due to the original location of the painting that was over a side altar in a church. So you are supposed to admire this beautiful masterpiece from the right. There is an extraordinary crepuscular light which shapes the forms and brings the scene together. The landscapes is full of trees, really existing trees, elms, cypress and pines, which are the real trees that were outside the real church in which this painting has been found. The garden is full of flowers. There are daisies that are symbol of the purity of Mary, and tulips, which are the symbol of the soul that fed from the love of God. In fact, if you move away the flowers from the sunlight, they die. Another important symbol is the seashell, represented in the desk. Seashells is something that Virgin Mary in Christianism and Venus in paganism have in common. It is the symbol of purity, and it's inside seashells that pearls born. So this is an allusion to the fact that Mary will be the mother of the Savior.
The architectural features are drawn according to the rules of perspective, with a central vanishing point. If we observe this painting from the correct point of view, it is evident that all the lines are converging into a central point, which is the mountain in the background, fading away, vanishing. Leonardo is using the mathematical perspective, but he's also using a new device he invented, the aerial perspective. This technique is the result of his studies about the atmosphere. Leonardo noticed that when we watch toward the horizon, colors are fading away and they become lighter. The effect of the colors fading away is given by the humidity that stands in the air. He is obtaining this effect using color diluting with water and using lighter color and more layers of transparencies. So in this way we have the effect of the landscapes fading away at the horizon. Then it is not a case if the vanishing point is a mountain, which is the symbol of Jesus. Mountains stands between God and people, and are the places where revelations happen in Christian religion. Moreover, Jesus is defined Mons Montis, which means the highest between the mountains. And mountains are always the places where Jesus goes when he meditates. So the scene represented in the painting, the main topic of this painting, is the meeting between two dimensions, transcendent and contingent, spiritual and terrestrial, divine and human. The Annunciation is generally considered to be one of Leonardo's youthful works, painted when he was still working in the studio of his teacher, Andrea del Verrocchio. So the table in front of the Virgin probably quotes the tomb of Piero and Giovanni de' Medici, that is in the church of St. Lawrence in Florence, which Verrocchio had sculpted during the same period. You can check that there are the same lion's legs. So at the end, I'm sure you noticed what I told you at the beginning, which is impossible to read a masterpiece of Leonardo only under the artistic point of view, because in this it is evident the interest he had for nature, botanic, the flight rules and birds, colors, optica, perspectives, and much more. He was really eclectic.
Well, that's it for today. This was the second episode of QuarARTine. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to keep choosing between masterpieces, you should follow me on Instagram. My page is called Sunflorencetours. If you want to keep watching my video, you should subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Sunflorencetours. And if you want to join some tours with me in Florence, you can book and check my webpage www.sunflorencetours.it. I hope you enjoyed. See you soon with another episode.